I will.
Motion, Mr. Webanero. Second, Mr. Hamilton. All in favor? None opposed, motion carried. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Ms. Berry?
Here.
Ms. Boswell? Here. Ms. Reeves? Here. Mr. Hamilton?
Here.
Mr. Peters?
Here.
Ms. Cruz? Mr. Webanero?
Motion to approve the agenda as written and the agenda. Motion approved. Second. Councilor Davies. All in favor? No one opposed, motion carried. Approval of the minutes, motion to approve the meeting minutes of December 9th, regular monthly meeting as written and or corrected. Mr. Webanero.
Second.
Second, Mr. Hamilton, all in favor? No one opposed, motion carried. Is there anybody for public comment? And we didn't have any online, so. Here we are, ex officio members. Didn't bring donuts? I'm just wondering.
On behalf of the High School Student Council, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to the Board of Education, our administrators, and our secondary staff for their continued guidance, encouragement, and support of our annual Adopt a Family event. With your help, this initiative was once again a tremendous success and allowed us to support many families in need throughout our school year during the holiday season. Events like this not only provide meaningful assistance to others, but also teach our students the importance of empathy, service, and coming together for a great cause.
Looking ahead, the Student Council is excited to continue collaborating with the student body, staff, and administration to create opportunities that promote kindness, school spirit, and positive impact throughout our building. We are grateful for the trust you place in student leadership and for empowering us to take an active role in making our school a welcoming and supportive place. Additionally, the student body would like to thank Mr. Berry for arranging the Dunkin' Donut truck to visit our school prior. This was a refreshing, exciting, and much appreciated surprise that brought smiles to students and staff alike. Moments like these help build connections, boost morale, and remind us that school can be both meaningful and fun. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for doing that. That's wonderful. Superintendent.
So, welcome back, everybody. Happy New Year. And I just wanted to let everyone know that we're starting our budget process. And Carol will be talking a little bit more about that tonight. And our administrators have started as well the process just before the break. They were put together budget proposals and looked closely at our school budget to determine things that they need in their buildings and ways to make things more efficient. So that we're starting that process as of now. Our leadership team meetings from here until, I would say, until the budget vote will be centered around this topic. The other piece is, I'm sure many of you saw in the newspaper, the Peru Gazette, there's going to be a grant for potential for playgrounds in the area. And so we will be looking into possibilities of that grant and what ways that may be beneficial for our school, partnering along with our PTO, and so we're in the early stages of that as well. Our special education department has been working closely on our optimization efficiency surveys. This has been working closely with consultants and many interviews and opportunities for our staff to talk about our special education department and things that we'll be looking into ways to optimize that. So we're looking forward to those types of results as we move forward. And there is a letter to the Board of Education here tonight about another trip, not the one we're going to hear about in a few minutes, but another potential trip for, just 1 second. It's a trip for possibly next year. Riley Duffy is a social studies teacher at our high school, and he's talking about a trip to Normandy, and other than that.
2 years.
Oh, sorry, not next year, the year after that, 2 years, yes,
Or
sorry.
will be 27.
27,
Sorry.
I'm getting,
Yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself. But, this is an opportunity, we have, Ms. Love here tonight, she's gonna be talking about the one we already had a lot of conversations about. But he's willing to come and have similar conversations with the board about that. This would be, if the board is interested in learning more about this process and what it would look like for our students, I just wanted to make sure the board is aware, how much would this cost for our students, for an individual student. It'd be almost $4,000, so it would be a lot of fundraising and those types of things. It would be an opportunity for us to. So we're looking into opportunities for that as well. We're only learning now a little bit about that, but we definitely have to do research on that aspect of it. But right now, we're looking at this exact movement, we're looking at it from the same lens that you're going to learn more about tonight.
Right.
So, and what Ms. Love is sharing with everyone tonight.
I really liked the way Love had done the itinerary, the agenda, and so on. If you could give us some idea, things like that.
For
that
sure.
was wonderful.
I probably, Autumn will be like, please do not send everyone to me, but I would probably send Riley to Autumn just to get some advice and some suggestions on that matter. And the other thing I just wanted to add, it's not on here, but I want to mention to the board that I have had an opportunity. I've been meeting with, kudos to PAT and their members. I've been meeting with the probationary staff, year one staff, and year two staff, just to see how is Peru doing for those staff members, and how are they feeling about their job, and are there any things that they could, feedback that they can give me. So the meetings have gone really well. It's been really a great opportunity to sit down and just have a chat with them. So throughout the month of January, I'm going to continue that along. Meeting to our year 3 and year 4 people. So keep it posted on that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be long if I don't want to touch anything, because I'm gonna mess this up. So, Happy New Year, 2026. Hopefully, this year will bring some positive results. Hopefully, the state budget. I saw some things, a couple of points from the State of the State proposal today. Sounds like there's some support for education. Hopefully, there'll be some financial support as well for education. But it definitely sounds like there's some programs that NISA has backed, and then looks like the governor is going to support that and is going to help students across the state, first pre-K, between the 3 lanes, making it more affordable next year. Some online safety programs and stuff like that. So hopefully that will translate into some financial support, because I know the last 2 years have not been such a fun place, fun atmosphere for the next couple of months. So hopefully that will change and they'll be able to support that. So other than that, I think I do appreciate Mr. Storm's meeting with our first and second year people. I heard some responses from people, from some of those people saying they were very positive meetings, very insightful, and really kind of just a different aspect, kind of seeing Mr. Storms not just as the person who speaks on opening day and then through the halls, but actually getting to sit down and have a conversation. So that has not really been something that's happened at Peru in quite a few years. So we do appreciate that. I do think it does make our probationary members feel a little bit more comfortable obviously Mr. Summers or administrator walking through the halls and they tens up. We're just we appreciate you doing that. So on that, I don't want to take up much of your time. Town record, maybe we'll see. But maybe go back. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay, Administrator. Costa Rica trip.
For those of you who don't know, this is Miss Autumn Love. She's one of our teachers in the World Language Department, who is a veteran teacher. Most importantly for me, in my experience with Autumn, she puts social emotional learning at the forefront despite being certified as a world language teacher. She also teaches in our leadership program and has done a great job there. Autumn also understands that relevance is probably the most important thing to get across to a high school student as far as buying into the curriculum. And I don't think anything speaks more than taking an immersive trip to Costa Rica. I was fortunate enough to go to Costa Rica last year, and I don't think you're going to come back unhappy. So, on love.
So I'm excited to be able to put this trip together. So I'm just kind of let you guys know some of the things like where we're at with it right now. Our dates for our travel is the 2nd of April, so that's coming up really soon. So that's 79 days away from the wedding. I'm on a countdown already. We have 35 participants going. That's 25 students from here, 5 parents that are coming along with us, and then we have 5 chaperones that are all in district. You can see Mr. Duffy, who is wanting to propose a trip to you guys as well, is on that list as well, just to kind of get his feet wet with our trip as well. And then Nicole Dupree, Beth Lozier, Riley Duffy, Tiffany Berry, and myself. What I proposed to you guys is all the same minus one hiccup that has turned into something kind of beautiful. So we had originally tried to get our flights from Burlington because that would just be so much easier than going through New York City. They charge us an extra like $50 per ticket to do that change, which in the grand scheme of things isn't anything really. Unfortunately, because we have large numbers, they were having a hard time getting us all on the same flights going out of Burlington. And instead of us being on separate flights, we've opted to go through Boston. The wonderful thing about this, though, is that they are actually going to be paying for charter buses to come pick us up directly from the school. And they will charter us to our location, and then on our flight back, the reason why our end date is not April 10th the way it originally planned is at 11th now, because on our way back we get in at 11 p.m. and they don't want us driving late, which I appreciate, so they're actually putting us into a hotel under their costs and busing us back to the school on the 11th. So it's all turning out to be good still. So this is the only thing that's changed in our plans so far. Our itinerary, just to kind of review it again, we'll be flying into San Jose, which is the capital of Costa Rica. Meeting our director, all of those things on the first day. The second day we'll be driving to Arenal, which is in the western northern area of Costa Rica, which is this volcanic area that you can see here. We'll be going through that park. We're going to a coffee plantation, learning what that looks like. And then we'll be having a leisure time in the hot springs later that evening. The third day we'll be traveling to Sarapiqui, which is just a little bit more east of this, which is a rainforest area. You can see the hot springs on the bottom here in the rainforest, where we'll go to a pineapple plantation, and at the end of working those fields a little bit and understanding what that looks like, we'll be making our own pineapple smoothies. Day 4, in Sarapiqui, still the rainforest, we will wake up to a yoga class. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I'm going to promote it to everybody. We'll do a kayak tour on the river, and then that evening, the diversity of wildlife there is quite large, and so we're going to go back to our hikes. It's the most diverse area in the world for bats, something unique to Costa Rica. Day 5, we'll travel more down south to the border of Panama, where we'll be at Puerto Viejo, and in this area we're going to go to a chocolate reservation and do a chocolate tour with an indigenous family. So definitely outside of the city, because we're trying to really learn the life of the So we'll go to that Indigenous Reserve. Day 6, still in Puerto Viejo, we'll go to the Slop Rescue Center that my students are super excited about, and we'll go kayaking through that natural habitat as well. And in the evening, they'll be learning about the flavors of the Caribbean, and they'll be teaching us how to cook so we can make our own dinner. Day 7, we'll go to a national park, same area, Puerto Viejo, down south there. We'll have some beach time. There's a shipwreck off the coast of this beach that we can snorkel around. And then we'll leave that evening with some dance classes on the beach where we'll learn different rhythms from Afro-Caribbean cultures. And then day 8, we'll start moving our way back to San Jose, getting ready to return home, but we'll stop off in Cartago, which is the old capital of Costa Rica, which was kind of destroyed a lot by volcanic activity in the past, so we get to see kind of what that looks like and how they rebuilt, and kind of look at their culture and history over a long duration of time as we go through that old capital area, and then head back to San Jose that evening to prepare for our return home. So this is the overall view. I have pretty much everything collected. The students and parents are pretty much, I think, at ease with everything. I think we're waiting on some hotel information that we would like to hear about too, but I have the info, passports, tickets, itineraries, everything is solidified. This month I'll be having a meeting with the parents just to kind of go over some more rooming stuff and solidify who's in which rooms and who's sharing stuff, and going through like allergy information, just like last little things. In February, we're holding our last fundraiser, which is a cornhole tournament. That'll be Saturday the 28th. March, we will have one more meeting just to discuss any final questions and to talk about what to pack and how to pack and those things that can be a little overwhelming if you don't talk it out with our students, I think. And then April, of course, we'll leave for our trip. So I mentioned fundraisers. In October, we sold Pura Vida bracelets, which are related directly to Costa Rica. They get a lot of profits, but then we also make profit as well. So we were able to kind of give to the community as we were raising to be able to go to the communities there. In November, we did the $1 chocolate bar sales. December, we had a kids' day out that was very successful. January, see, I took a break. February, we're going to do the cornhole tournament, and then March, we're just kind of preparing for our trip. All the monies that are raised, we decided that the people who are raising the money, they are going to get the reward of what they raise. So money will be proportionally distributed to each student for what they raise in each individual fundraiser. But we also had a lot of students who fundraise but aren't going. They just wanted to help. So we're going to use that money as backup money for on the trip if, you know, any kind of emergency thing comes up, as far as like maybe someone doesn't like the food that we're eating and we need to make sure that they're eating for the evening, and we'll use that little spare cash to be able to substitute that. And then the rest of it, we're looking at putting in a possible future scholarship fund, which kind of segues into Mr. Duffy's realm and what he wants to propose as well. So we're kind of looking at trying to start a club that I'll propose at a later point to you guys, but just to give a little nugget of what we're doing. We're looking at a Wonder and Wander Club, where all of the fundraising for going abroad can get funneled through this particular club. Talk about culture in a different way. Even if you don't wander, you can still wonder about it. And have potential scholarship funds set up for those who socioeconomic status might be less than and may not be able to do this out of pocket the way that a lot of our kids are able to this time. So we wanted to address that, and that's something that we're working on the side, and hopefully we'll be able to address with you guys in the near future.
Thank you. We really appreciate that complete, detailed, review of what they're doing, and so on. It looks fantastic. And just what a fantastic idea. Thank you for coming up with that. That's certainly, students need to know about the cultures around the world, and there's nothing like seeing it firsthand, and then coming back and talking to their classmates.
Yeah, it changes your whole world for sure. Thank you for allowing me to do this.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, You mentioned the charter buses, which I think is a change of plan. In 2023, we had a conversation with the board, just to make sure at least selection of charter bus vendors gets listed at transportation. Because New York State DOT maintains a list of acceptable vendors and choice failures, and they often get charter for school transportation. So this vendor, that whoever they're chartering with is not designated for transportation.
Okay, so whatever company they tell me I need to talk to the transportation.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you for the reminder.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, here we are with multi-year financial plan, budget information session, number 1.
Well, fireside chat about the
Thank you, everyone. It is time.
So much business today.
That was quick.
Exit board, come back. All right, let's try this again. So, once again, we were at the point of our multi-year financial plan, the first of our budget meetings. It's crazy that we're here, that it's been a year from the last time I stood in front of you starting this process. So first, we're going to, this is last year's multi-year financial plan. So this is the download one. It was downloaded a year ago. So we.
Yeah, you should TV up.
I'm glad I didn't. So we're gonna go to the meeting agenda is a review of the 25-26 New York State budget, the present financial climate, our revenue and expenditure projections for the 25-26 school year, revenue and expenditure forecasts, a review of our fund balance, looking forward to the 26-27 New York State budget, and a review of our budget development timeline. A review of the new 25-26 New York State budget. As a reminder, foundation aid became fully funded based on the legislative formula in 23-24. This means that the formula is finally running based on all of the factors in the formula. It's very long, it's very complicated, but this also means that large increases in future years are unlikely, starting in the 23-24 school year, and we have seen that in subsequent budget years. In the enacted budget for the 25-26 school year, a 2% due minimum foundation aid increase was granted for all safe harmless districts. Peru fell into this category, meaning based on the formula, your foundation Medicaid would have been flat, there would have been a 0% increase. However, we received a 2% increase as the due minimum. There were also changes to certain factors in the foundation aid formula that were enacted in 25-26. Last year's budget presentations, we went through the Rockefeller Center Institute's recommendations and their report. These factors really can't be isolated one by one on their impact on a specific district. It's a culmination of all of the changes of these factors. There are wealth measures, English language learner count weightings, students with disabilities counts weighting, all of these culminate into this formula. There was also a 2.9% CPI price inflation factor in 25-26 in the enacted budget. This was down from 3.1% in the executive budget proposal in January of 2025. And there also was no change to the zero emission bus mandate. As of right now, districts will be required to purchase only zero emission school buses starting in the 27-28 school year, and the entire fleet must be converted to zero emission buses by 2035. The present financial climate. Inflationary pressures continue to burden the district. This is something that at a district level we feel, and many people feel at a personal level. Personnel costs, including salaries and benefits, are expected to continue to stress our district's resources. Declining enrollment at Peru Central School District and across the state. Over the past 10 years, the district's enrollment has decreased 10.31%. Over the past 5 years, the district's enrollment has decreased 5.04%. The one good thing, and this helps in the budget process, is that all of our labor contracts are settled through at least June 30th of 2027. Some are settled beyond this point, but this at least gives us solid ground as we're going into next budget season. Now we are going to go into the multi-year financial plan. I want to start by saying that the purpose of a multi-year financial plan is to aid in decision making. The multi-year financial plan displays historical data, current estimates based on our current projections, revenue and expenditure, and forecasts. It's important to note that the forecasts shown here are assumptions based on historical data trends. This is not what you will see in the estimated of the 2027 column, is not next year's budget. This is just saying if we look at these trends, this is what the plan is showing us. So it's important to differentiate that. So we're going to start here with our revenue projections. As you can see, our revenue in that 23-24 and 24, so 22-23, 23-24, you see those large increases, and then you see the increase in revenue start to drop as we continue. That's that foundation aid. Future large increases are not anticipated. I do want to note that our estimated 2026 revenue this current school year is falling short under what we budgeted. The big categories where our revenue is falling short is excess cost aid, BOCES aid, transportation aid, and the refund of prior year BOCES expenses. All of these are expenditure based, so they are aided based on the expenses we had in the prior year. We do hope that there is a chance that we are able to recover a little bit of this, but that remains to be seen. And just as this is in the other, you can see there's a significant drop, $455,000 in 2025 to $168,000 in 2026. The big number that's driving that projection change is that BOCES surplus. Last year, our BOCES surplus was about $286,000. This year, it's $50,000. So again, this is based on our usage of BOCES services and the BOCES operations results.
Just on that, do you have looking at that gap, can you speculate, like, how much of that, or slash, how much of that is perhaps a reduced use of services versus most?
Unfortunately, that's hard to estimate because the BOCES aid, there are lots of exclusions when they're calculating the BOCES aid and then the surplus and deficit. But we definitely did drop some of our BOCES services last year. So that would make sense. Also, BOCES is expanding, as we know, to try to enhance their programs. So last year we saw an expansion there, so it may make sense that their operating results were less flush, but we're providing us with more services. But either way, any money that a BOCES makes comes directly back to the district. And this is in addition to BOCES aid, which we know is very advantageous to the district, as we're at about a 70% BOCES aid ratio. Here are expenditure projections. You can see that our expenditure projections are trending at about 2.25% for the 2026 school year and just over 3% in 2027. Again, these are assumptions based. But you can see here that our contractual and other line, that line has increased significantly, or is estimated to be increased significantly from last year. The cost of educating some of our special education students has increased significantly. We're looking at an increase of $676,000 for BOCES special education services, $113,000 in special education tuition. We also have our technology replacement plan of $200,000. That was a budget enhancement last year. Those purchases will be made through BOCES to continually replace our technology infrastructure. But because this is the first year, we're not getting the BOCES aid to match that expenditure. So this is something that we knew even in the budget discussions last year, that there's this lag year as to when we start to see the benefit of that purchasing. We also have our benchmark purchase. That was another budget enhancement. We are going to maximize our textbook aid by purchasing benchmark this year, and we will continue to pay the cost of that program over the next few years as we added it to last year's budget. As a result of our revenue projections and expenditure estimates, we are projecting a deficit of just under $1.5 million for the 25-26 school year at this time. As you can see, this deficit is projected to grow in the 26-27 school year based on the assumptions that are listed in this plan. One thing that I do want to note is that the district did budget just over $2.3 million in appropriated fund balance. Your appropriated fund balance is your savings account. You always hope you don't need to touch it, and then it can just float along. At this point, we are digging into this appropriated fund balance, but by budgeting it, we knew that that was a possibility. We always hope that we are we will under-project revenues. They will come out better in the end than we anticipate at this time of the year, and also that we will underspend the budget. So these are conservative estimates, but they are made using the best information that we have at this time. And here is a 6-year budget analysis from 2022 to 2027. You can see that in 2022 we did have a minor deficit, our lines crossed, and then we are now trending back to, we had some modest surpluses, and we're now trending where expenditures are outpacing revenues. The fund balance comparison from 23-24 to 24-25. You will see that our fund balance is about $1 million less as of June 30th, 2025 than it was in June 30th, 2024. It's important to note that you can see that dark green in the June 30th of 2024. There's no dark green, or very, very small. You can't even see it in 2025 because we use the capital reserve to offset the cost of our capital project, which is currently underway. So we used just over $1 million in capital reserve. The voters authorized the use of that. And so basically, we use the capital reserve to offset the tax impact of that project to our taxpayers. Here's just a more detailed breakout of our fund balance as of June 30th, 2025. You can see that unassigned fund balance, which is not assigned or reserved for any specific purpose, is still a very large section of the pie. Our appropriated fund balance is this dark blue here. That's what I'm talking about in the savings account that was built into the budget in case we needed to use it. And our reserves are down in this bottom corner, and those are reserved for specific uses as outlined by the mayor's table. Looking forward to the 26-27 budget, the executive proposal is expected to be released on Tuesday, January 20th. Current estimates are using a 2.8 CPI inflation adjustment to the foundation aid formula. This inflation adjustment is often not keeping pace with the increases of our expenditures. When you look at salaries, health insurance, even just the cost of doing business, those contractual services. As I said, those inflationary pressures, we're all feeling them. Everyone we do business with, our salaries, our health insurance premiums, everything is going up, and oftentimes greater than 2.8%. There also is uncertainty surrounding future federal funding, including our IDEA and title grants, as well as Medicaid funding. And lastly, the zero emission bus mandate. There is now a 2-year extension waiver available to extend that 27-28 school year deadline 2 years. That is due on March 1st, 2026. We have completed a fleet electrification plan with an outside consultant. That was a big piece if we were to apply for the waiver. New York State wants to see that we have done our due diligence in trying to plan for this mandate. I do expect that Mr. Storms and I will be presenting this during the budget season. But next year, we are not required to purchase only zero emission buses. It's the following year. So the board has already agreed to or has already authorized a proposition or planning for a proposition to purchase regular diesel buses for the 26-27 school year. The concern around the zero emission bus mandate is the extensive financial burden. Frankly, the district doesn't have the electric capacity to install charging infrastructures to power all of our buses. And so when we're looking at how we want to allocate our resources, that will pose a significant challenge in the future. And going forward, our 26-27 budget development timetable. Next month at the regular board meeting, we'll hear some preliminary budget information. I anticipate that the New York State Comptroller's fiscal stress monitoring system results will have been released. So typically we review that as well as what is a budget and what does this process look like going forward. Then in March, we start to drill down into our revenues and parameters, our base budget, our discussions of proposals of reductions, and eventually balancing revenues and expenditures. Hopefully in April, the board will approve the 2026-27 proposed spending plan at the regular meeting, but we did schedule an additional meeting after that, or a workshop in case we need it. There is a big gap here between March 26th and April 14th, which is when we hope the executive budget would be released. On April 1st, we will see if that comes true. That's because of spring break. And so on to our next board meeting, preliminary budget information. Are there any questions?
This is a 5-year budget plan, so I know we're not looking past 2027 currently. But looking at slide 8, which has a yearly deficit, and slide 9, my rough math says that if you look at, we did do our fund balance last year,
that's where on paper, it looks like more of a deficit when the voters authorized the use of that money, but it's still the use of fund balance, one way or another.
And then you have for 2027, it's about $2.4 million for deficits that we have to come out of fund balance.
Correct.
So if we continue on that pattern, like our appropriate unassigned fund balance are going to
Based on these assumptions, yes.
so this would do something pretty substantial in the next 2 to 4 years for our options.
Based on these assumptions, that is correct.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay. Reports and communications. Any questions, comments? Have a motion to approve the reports and communications. Motion, Mr. Peters, second. Second, Mrs. Barlow Davies. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. New business. Any questions, comments? Do want to thank the Technology Rubber Backpack Program again, and the CDPH Foundation for those substantial contributions. Thank you to them again. Any other comments or anything on the new business, A through E? And the motion to approve A through E. Motion, Mr. Hamilton?
Second.
Second, Mr. Peters, all in favor? No one opposed? Motion carried. Personnel, A through H. Any discussion, questions? Motion to approve A through H. Motion, Mrs. Graves, second. Second, Mrs. Boswell Davies, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. And then number 9, old unfinished business, policy 4512. Any comments, questions on that?
Just a comment, I appreciate the changes Mr. Giuliani made, so
Yep.
as the selection of technology for our students, and really appreciate it. It's a great thing.
It was very good, thank you. Okay, motion to approve policy 4512, and that's the second reading, so this will be approved. Motion, Mr. Webanero. Second, Mr. Hamilton, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Okay, policy 5000 series, any questions, comments?
I had a question regarding policy 5152. It was something we had talked about a couple of times, but not directly, and I wondered if that was a discussion we could have further before we pass that through.
This is a, what was the question about?
It wasn't really so much a question, but at one point we had talked about coming back to the idea of, I'm sorry.
Is that allowed in faculty?
Yes, yeah.
Allowing faculty one.
Just like tuition-based or out of district students.
Faculty separate from students.
Right.
It's Peru.
What's that? Oh,
Non-resident students.
It's page 8 of the policy.
So it wasn't so much like a direct question about that policy, it was just maybe a continuation of that conversation.
and what are we thinking to do?
Well, I mean, I think considering the conversations that we're having about student enrollment, et cetera, that it might be time to reevaluate that option, or especially not write it into our policy that says that we are not accepting either like their students, or maybe even, I don't know, students perhaps in general, who have
my perspective, is the cost. If we, and we've had this discussion before, and we can probably clarify more, we have this policy because if we brought in X number of students and went over, we'd have to have another classroom and so on. And looking at the financial picture, I'm not so sure that we could afford an extra classroom because of our class size pieces in the contracts. Be accurate?
Yes, you don't receive foundation aid for non-resident students, hence the need to charge tuition.
The way, it looks like the way the old policy was written was on space available basis.
Right.
So if we didn't have the classroom actually in front and the tuition was covered.
You talking year to year, or when somebody is in there for the entire career?
I mean, I think that depends on how we,
Removing students if we,
yeah.
is that what you're at?
I would, so year to year, I think would be really big within a year.
But what you're saying is we would accept a student for 1 year, but possibly not.
I guess the big picture is the financial picture.
Like 2 more years. I'm
Yeah.
interested in hearing more about this, so just off the cuff.
And I think that's, you know,
If we were
from years
generating-
ago, it was, you know, many years ago, faculty members could bring their students to our school. And then when we got to the point where our class sizes were very high, that didn't happen anymore because you might have to, you know, if the faculty member's student was there, we weren't taking, I don't believe we were taking non-residents, it was mainly the faculty members. You'd have to increase a classroom and a teacher, and that cost did not match the tuition.
We were kind of talking about, a little before, about like doing a lottery that, you know, if we have, you know, X amount of spots, then we could say, we could, you know, X amount of spots, something like that.
Maybe this is an opportunity for us to just pull this particular policy and do a little bit more research in regards to what schools that are currently doing it, what is that, what's the
Right. There's only a couple.
the financial burden on the district, and what does that look like, and then what are we doing to the educational path of a student if we're impacting it from year to year, right? I think that could be problematic as well. So, but I think that maybe the best course of action would be to pull this particular policy, and then I can do some research and get some more information to the board for the next board meeting, and we could then discuss it if that works for the board.
That's good. I think there's only a couple of districts in our area who accept tuition students.
I'll find out on Friday.
Yep, I believe it's Town Plattsburgh, that's it.
Shazy.
Was this, oh, Shazy? Shazy. Okay, so motion to conduct the second reading and adopt the district's revised 5,000 series, the 9,001 series, and 6,700 series, except for policy 5152. Motion is approved. Second, Mrs. Graves, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Okay, and now we have the first readings of policies 5100, 5156, 5251, and 5605. Any questions, comments? Okay, motion to approve first reading of those.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Hamilton. Second, Mrs. Graves, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Okay, motion to approve this host community agreement with Vortex USA Incorporated. Any questions, comments? We don't have an idea of the host agreement, how much funding would come back until they get through the whole process. And it was, we had a couple of pieces as exhibits, and we know that I think the town looks like they're going to be doing a pilot versus a host agreement. We have right here in our resolution, we only want a host agreement. And the clarification is that the host agreement doesn't have to come out of the tax cap. If we were to receive pilot funds, they'd have to be in the tax cap. So the host agreement is much more amenable to our financial picture.
There was a lot of language around this one, so what we read it, so the point of this is to decline the pilot and ask for the, in order to agree to the host agreement, so that's what all of this nice down to, am I correct right there? Yes.
Good. Any other discussion? A motion to approve the host community agreement. Okay.
So,
First of all, I have to have a motion. I have to approve the motion. Mr. Peters, Mrs. Graves. Okay, roll call.
okay, Ms. Conlon, please. Yes. Ms. Graves. Mr. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Ms. Burke. Yes. Mr. Montero.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we'll have no one for public comment. And we need an executive session. Mr. Peters. Oh,
I just wanted to bring it to three and the trip to Normandy, Guinness, and whatever else. Of course, we got big time of fundraising. I would be interested to explore options because I know we do fundraising, and I think that's awesome. I also realize that when you do fundraising, families that are economically better off tend to have friends and family that are economically well off. So it's much easier for their students to sell a box of chocolate bars than it is for a disadvantaged student. And so we think about those fundraising opportunities. There's a few events listed for Costa Rica that are group activities, right? Hosting a tournament or an activity where we all put in the effort and all get the proceeds. I prefer those much more than you individually go figure out where you're going to get this money from, because I think that's still not an equal opportunity for students. I would love for the district to even explore some sort of supporting model where if you achieved some sort of academic threshold or some sort of participation threshold, we will make sure that you get there. Versus it really being up to individual families to achieve this opportunity. I don't think that's a great thing for students. And we're seeing with more and more of these events are club doing this kind of travel. I really think we need to look at how we make that as equitable as possible. And I don't think
I'm not sure. I know that the students help each other and they do a lot of work together. Even if there's on chocolate bars, they're helping each other and doing it together. So maybe if we just give a little bit more information. It is an individual thing like that, versus the group. They, still could use a combination, but maybe or more of that group piece. The coaster, this looks like it viable.
Sounds like a club.
I think the club, sounds great. Club sounds great. Okay, anything else? Okay, Mr. Peters, you are back, and guess what? Motion to adjourn. Second? Second. Now, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.